bribing us about it. All right, good afternoon. It is 4:30, and we will call the Personnel Committee to order. So the first item on the agenda today is 2023-335, a resolution approving the promotion and salary adjustment for classified bargaining employee Josh Huff for the Office of Information Technology and declaring an emergency.
Hi, Stephen Byrne, Office of Information Technology. So this is an open position we have on our application support team. Josh has been with us for about 5 years, and this feels a pretty big need that we have. That particular app support team, we've lost about 3 different people on so far, so we're trying to make sure we promote from within and have a career path for Josh. He's been a very valuable asset for us.
Great. Thank you very much. Does anyone from the committee have questions for Stephen? Anyone from council? With that, may I have a motion? I have a motion from Councilwoman Darrow. On the motion for 2023-335, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item passes. Thanks very much, Stephen. All right, we have 2023-336, a resolution pursuant to Section 169.04H, the codified ordinances of the County of Summit as set forth in Exhibit A, approving and adopting the report on staffing for calendar year 2024 for the executive and declaring an emergency.
Good afternoon, Chip Klepper, Deputy Director of Executive Shapiro's Department of Human Resources. Per 169, every year we must come before you to lay out our report on staffing for all charter offices. These spots, as we call them, are not necessarily fully funded monetarily wise. They're just positions for us to be able to use if we need to or have the ability to fund them. So with that, just a quick overview. Everyone pretty much remained neutral except for anybody who was not neutral reduced their number of staffing report positions. The engineer reduced about 5, and most of those were student helpers. The executive's office reduced around 7. Most of those were, once it all kind of, added down or subtracted down, it was mostly our emergency management positions that we had used for COVID funds that we no longer are using. And then the sheriff reduced 23 positions, and all of those were mostly related to dispatch, which is now at the Consolidated Dispatch Center, and they're no longer part of charter offices. And so we are totally reduced about 35 positions for the year for 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Klepper. Any questions for Mr. Klepper from the committee? From council, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilman Schmidt on 2023-336. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed? Item passes.
Thank you.
With that, I will call the Personnel Committee to close at 4:33.
Public Works Committee will come to order. First resolution we have to consider this evening is 2023-337, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a renewal, first of 3, of a professional service contract with K.E. McCartney and Associates for design services related to the Surface Water Management District for a 1-year term for the period 1/1/24 to 12/31/24, and an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the engineer emergency.
Thank you. Summit County Engineers Office, Heidi Swindell. This is a renewal of a task order contract with KEM. They are helping us kind of implement the Surface Water Management District on the construction projects side. There's a lot of mapping, a lot of seeing who the benefited property owners are, a lot of notifications that need to go out with that. And then they're also helping with kind of right-of-way acquisition and general design services. It's a task order contract. It's not to exceed $100,000, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Heidi. Questions from members of the committee? Members of the council? Public? I'll entertain Mr. Donofrio. Mr. Donofrio moved on to 2023-337. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2023-338, a resolution authorizing the executive to enter into agreements for the acquisition of a warranty deed and 2 standard highway easements for Summit County parcels 0406653, 0406985, and 6657, located in Bath Township and in Council District 4, and an amount not to exceed $3,785 as part of the Ira Road Bridge Replacement Project for the engineer emergency.
Thank you. This is right-of-way acquisition for the Ira Road Bridge project. All property owners have agreed to their offers. It actually went really smoothly. I kind of feel like we're going to jinx it by talking about it right now. But, yep, everybody is on board. There's 2 easements and then 1 actual property acquisition. And the total is $3,785, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Heidi. Questions from members of the committee, members of council, the public? Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew.
We've got a couple, actually. So, the other side. We're in Bath. Yep. Yes.
You want to move on that, Aaron? Sure. Aaron Dickinson moved on 2023-338. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Okay,
Motion
thank you.
carries. Thanks, Heidi. Is there any other business to come before the Public Works Committee? Then we're adjourned.
Before we convene Planning and Economic Development, we will have a short public hearing to consider amendments to Part 11 of the Ohio Revised Code, or of the Ohio Codified Ordinances of Summit County, Ohio. Hello. So this public hearing is being held pursuant to sections 711.05, 711.101, and 711.132 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider amendments to Part 11, subdivision regulations of the Codified Ordinances of Summit County. The amendments are being considered in the Planning Committee this evening with Resolution 2023-339. I'd like to begin by calling for comments and ask the Summit County Department of Planning to come on up. Stephen Knittel, thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Knittel, Department of Planning for Summit County. The proposal in the 2023-339 is updates to the subdivision regulation. The previous subdivision regulation was approved back in 2016. It has not been updated since then. This is a collection of minor updates, typically just clerical things. The current version refers to Department of Engineering Services, which is now Department of Sanitary Sewer Services. Various other regulations that have been updated over time. We're just correcting those. Clerical errors where we've noticed there's been spelling mistakes or things like that, and some reformatting to try to make the regulations a little bit more clear to understand for people when they look at them to do development. And that's sort of the quick and short of it. We weren't doing any heavy lifting this time around. It was all very much just to try to make it flow a little bit better and a little bit easier to manage and keep it up to date with current regulations.
Thank you, Stephen. Do we have any other comments from the county? Any other representatives from the county wishing to speak? Do we have any comments from the public? Okay. Do we have any comments from members of council? All right, hearing none, if there are no comments, the chair calls for the adjournment of the public hearing on this matter at 4:39. And Planning and Economic Development Committee will open at 4:39. Our first piece tonight is 2023-339, an ordinance amending numerous sections of Part 11 of the Codified Ordinances of the County of Summit, Ohio, entitled Subdivision Regulations for the Planning Commission and the Executive's Department of Community and Economic Development, and declaring an emergency. Come on back up, Stephen. We missed you.
Should have just stayed up here. Stephen Knittel with the Department of Planning and Economic Development. As I said, it's as a collection of minor changes, a lot of clerical things.
Great. Any questions from members? Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Christine on 2023-339. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and Planning and Economic Development will close at 4:40.
Okay, 4:49, I will call to order the Public Safety Committee. Our first item on the agenda is 2023-340, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of the purchase contract with Federal Express Corporation as the best practical source for service of process documents for the Clerk of Juvenile Court for a total estimated amount not to exceed $165,000 for a one-year term for the period of 1/1/24 through 12/31/24. for the Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division and declaring an emergency. I know Mr. Horner was delayed a bit, so are there any questions on this?
So, I'll just,
Brian, wanna speak?
yeah, they've used FedEx for quite a few years. I know the Clerk of Courts uses them as well for service. This was passed by the Board of Control as a best practical source.
Do we have questions from any members of the committee? Members of council? Do I have a motion? Rita? I have a motion from Ms. Darrow. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. 2023-341, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Children's Hospital Medical Center of Akron, Division of Adolescent Medicine, for physician and medical services in the Juvenile Detention Center for a total amount not to exceed $326,259 for a one-year term from 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 for the Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division and declaring an emergency.
And I'll grab this one, Deb Matz. So obviously, the Juvenile Detention Center is a 24/7 facility, and as such, they are required by law to provide medical services to the juveniles that are incarcerated in that facility. And this is the contract that they use for that purpose, and they've been contracting with Children's Medical Center at least since I've had this job. Clearly, the services are good, otherwise they'd look elsewhere, but hence the reason why they're asking to contract with them again for another year.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from members of the committee? Other members of council? Do I have a motion? Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilhite moved on 2023-341. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. 2023-342, a resolution authorizing the prosecutor's office to make an expenditure in an amount not to exceed $17,657.84 for their annual Responding to the Needs of Victims Conference for the prosecutor and declaring an emergency. Mr. Gallant?
Good afternoon. John Galansky from the Summit County Prosecutor's Office. This is our 8th annual Responding to the Needs of Victims Conference. This year we had 250 people in attendance, and the costs are associated with the food, the ballroom rental, the equipment, and the accommodations. This year's topic was cold cases. So we had Ryan Backman, who was the executive director of Project Cold Case. He's from the advocacy world. He's a victim's advocate. His father was murdered in 2015, and that's still unsolved. And then we had Jennifer Spears, who is a cold case investigator, and her expertise is in genealogy. So it was an opportunity for law enforcement, attorneys, social workers to get together, and we worked through case scenarios. I think it was a productive day, and we got to host it regionally. Generally, most of the attendees were from our county, but we did have people from outside of Summit County. Open to questions.
Is that a CLE?
Yes, you could get CLEs, absolutely. For sure, absolutely.
I'll move on this.
Okay, any questions?
Yes.
Is that more registrants than we've had? Is it kind of growing?
It is growing, and the topics change each year. So cold cases obviously have been in the news a lot recently, and the technology, I mean, we work through, and there have been some locally here that have come to trial, I think, from the 70s. So that's a new area, and to have the experts speak to us and then have us work through the case scenarios, it was very helpful. Thank you. There are cases that currently that are in court that are from decades ago. So, if I may, so generally you could have a DNA profile of someone who committed the crime, but you don't have a match. So now they work through genealogy services who have profiles, and then this person who's here in this genealogy service is related to the person who committed the crime, and then you got to work through that to put the puzzle. So it's like a puzzle, but it gives more information. So absolutely. Yes, that'd be the prime. Yes, absolutely. Science is helpful to us. Okay, thank you.
I moved earlier.
Oh, you did, sorry.
You're good.
Motion by
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. 2023-343, a resolution authorizing the executive, subject to the approval of the Board of Control, to execute a professional service contract between the Legal Defender's Office of Summit County, Ohio, Inc., and the Summit County Public Defender Commission for legal defender services for indigent persons on behalf of the Summit County Public Defender Commission for a one-year term for the period 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 in an amount not to exceed $4,039,430 for the executive and the Summit County Public Defender Commission and declaring an emergency.
Deb Matz, Summit County Executive's Office, and I'm really only up here to introduce our Summit County Legal Defender, Andrea Whitaker, who can address the contract and answer any questions that you all have.
I first would like to note, once again, we have to follow the prosecutors. They always get to go first. And last, well, we'll see. I don't think you'll have anything to say after this, John. Good evening. My name is Andrea Whitaker. I'm the director of the Summit County Legal Defender's Office. I'm joined today by Scott Riley, our deputy director. Many of you may know Scott. He was in private practice for over 30 years in Summit County, and we're very, very lucky that he's joined us this last year in Summit County. We are asking the county for a $4,039,430 contract. That makes up the majority of our $5 million budget for 2024. At the current projected reimbursement rates, that will be an out-of-pocket cost for the county of $606,000, which is an increase of $110,000 from 2023. So the out-of-pocket to the county, in addition to 2023, is a little under $110,000. And before I explain where that money will go, I just want to touch a minute on why I've continued to ask you all for more money every year. As the office has continued to grow, I want to explain to you just for a few minutes where the money you've given me the last few years have gone, and then I'll tell you what the increase is for this year. When I began in January of 21, we had 14.5 attorneys and 3 support staff. We had no social workers and no real management staff. We had a director and a deputy director. We now have 24 licensed attorneys in the office with a management staff, a training director, a social worker, and adequate support staff. So we've grown, we've doubled in size since I began the office. We have fully changed how we run the office, becoming much more efficient in the way that we administer our employees, the way that we pay our bills, the way that we manage our payroll, all of those things. We've developed things that the office never had before, like handbooks and time-off policies and things like that. Additionally, we've added additional space in downtown Barberton, and I'm happy to say that we have space in the new Akron courthouse that just opened. For the first time, our lawyers will not be meeting with their clients in the hallways and in the stairwells. We have a new benefits package that all of our attorneys and staff members are entitled to, with robust retirement, dental, vision, and health care, as well as disabilities. We also have our attorneys now close to pay parity. The Ohio Administrative Code requires that public defenders be paid commensurate with prosecutor's office, and we're very close to that. I'll tell you in a minute, one of the increases for 2024 is an additional raise to make sure that our attorneys are being paid online with what the prosecutors are being paid across Summit County. We now have monthly staff meetings and trainings, and that's an additional area that we are spending more money on in 2024, and that is professional development, both locally here through the Bar Association. We are also involved in helping to train local attorneys and now engage in Bar Association trainings where our lawyers and our managers are presenting to the greater legal community. We're also engaging in statewide and national trainings. We've engaged more with the community, being involved in several Akron Public School events, the Akron Pride Parade, Bar Association events, resource affairs for community members, and the Reentry Coalition of Summit County. We continue to expand the scope of our representation. Last year when I came to you, I discussed that we were entering the world of abuse, dependency, and neglect cases in juvenile court at the request of Judge Linda Teodosio. We have done that, and in just over 6 months, we've represented over 140 parents who are parties in those cases. And I think it's important to note that just like criminal cases, not only are we providing services to community members, us being involved in these cases and moving these cases along has direct financial benefits to the county, both in terms of jail bed days and less days in foster care. So there's a financial reason that our involvement in these cases is helpful too, because our attorneys are there, available, and the cases can move faster. So why am I asking for more money this year after we've done all this the last 3 years? One of the reasons, as I indicated, is an additional raise after doing a survey of all the prosecutors in Summit County so that we are at pay parity. We are also creating several additional new positions, an appellate attorney, another juvenile, and another municipal attorney based on our caseloads right now. The American Bar Association and the Ohio Revised Code has suggested caseloads for attorneys in public defender's office, and we need additional attorneys to meet that standard. We are also creating an intake department that can fully address some of our clients' needs, including traffic and ceiling issues, which continues to be a barrier to people gaining gainful employment. So we'll be able to reach them initially and we work very closely with Judge McKinney and Varverton on some of the traffic issues, and we see really how that impacts our clients and their ability to gain employment and work for Summit County businesses. I think one of the other things that we are expanding is our social worker department. We are seeing statewide the impact that social workers and public defenders' offices can have on the clients. They are trusted, I think, by the clients in a way that sometimes social workers from other divisions are not, because they're part of the defense team, and they've really been able to connect resources, and again, saving those valuable dollars in jail bed days and foster care days, because we're moving these people along so that we don't see them again next month on a new case. So those are the reasons I'm asking for the additional funding, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. I would just like to know from my colleagues that Andrea took the time to sit down with me for a few hours one day and explain to me what she's doing in the public defender's office and what they've been doing to expand and improve the quality of the work they've been doing. And I was very impressed with everything that they've been doing. The leadership has been a real benefit to our county.
Thank you.
The members of our community, so I appreciate the work that you do, and I'm supportive of everything that you're doing. So,
Thank you.
anybody else have questions?
Yes, ma'am.
You said a lot.
I'm trying to get it all in there.
Caseload.
Yes.
There's 24 new attorneys, you were saying. So is there like a limit on the caseload per case? Like, are they allowed, are the attorneys only allowed so many cases, or how does that work?
So the Ohio Revised Code and the American Bar Association has standards for different types of attorneys, the kind of caseloads they should take. Right now, with the addition of the juvenile attorney that we're going to be hiring, an additional municipal court attorney, we'll be close to that. We're not always right on it. In fact, those caseloads are actually being looked at again this year, and they may go down, but I'm not looking for that yet. But we are much closer to that standard than we were when I started 3 years ago.
And then my second question was, thank you for that. My second question was the retirement and insurance. Do these attorneys that work for the public defender's office, do they work for other private practices besides this?
No, that was one of the significant changes from before 2020 to now. Our attorneys before had a private practice, and I made them not as available for the courts as they should be. And so now our attorneys do not have a practice that would involve any legal work during the business day.
Thank you. That was all. Yes. What is the recommended caseload?
For misdemeanor attorneys, it's 400 cases per year. That does not include non-OVI traffic cases, so driving under suspension, the new texting while driving, or the new speeding tickets that are misdemeanors are not included in that number. Juvenile attorneys, it's 200 cases per year. Felony attorneys, it's 150 cases per year. Appellate attorneys, it's 25 cases per year.
So I have a question. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, we've talked since the
Yes,
beginning
ma'am.
about the diversification of your office. How are we doing with that since we've doubled in staff?
Well, until a week ago, I was going to be very excited for that question, Madam Councilwoman. We did make offers to 2 African-American interns that recently took the bar. You can talk to the Acton Municipal Court by the fact that only one of us is still with us. One of them took a job at the Acton Municipal Court recently. But we have increased our minority hiring and continue to engage in minority hiring fairs, events in Cleveland and Akron and around Northeast Ohio to try to increase those numbers. numbers, because I agree with you, as I have for years, that that number is important, both in terms of our practice and for the citizens that we represent.
So in addition to your attorneys, what's your number of attorneys?
24 attorneys right
24
now.
attorneys? So what percentage of those are minority attorneys?
Right now, the percentage of those is 5%. Well, her last day is, the woman's last day is Friday. That number will go down once she leaves to go to Akron Municipal Court. So we are going to continue to work on that number because it is a priority for us.
So you have a social work division, a new social work division?
Yes.
What's that? What's your staffing there?
Our staffing there is a diverse, she's diverse. We have only one social worker right now. We're looking to hire 2 additional ones. We have a social worker who is in juvenile court, and then we're looking to hire 2 additional social workers. One was in the budget for last year. We just have not had, unfortunately, the applicants that we had hoped for, and so we're continuing to prioritize that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the answer is, but I know there has to be an answer in terms of how we increase the diversity in your office. And I would say disproportionately.
I think that one of the answers, and I know you and I have talked about this before, one of the answers is why we've become to engage at the Akron Public Schools is because this needs to look like a career option for people in high school. And if we wait to have these conversations with law students, the numbers just aren't there. So that's why we were involved this year with the Raise the Bar, which was between the county and the Akron Municipal Courts initiative. We continue to go into the Akron Public Schools, the street law Mr. Riley's been involved in, to again make sure that kids from the inner city, from diverse backgrounds, racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, see law as a viable career path. And I think that's the only way that we see ourselves down the road with a diverse pool of attorneys.
So what's the increase request? Is it $110,000?
That's the number that I like, Councilwoman. Yes, it is an increase out of pocket for the county of just under $110,000.
Do you think the diversity, that it might be helpful that you're raising salaries? I mean, I know that in the legal profession, there's a lot of competition for any applicants who are from diverse backgrounds because everybody's talking about these issues. So when you're coming in offering a lower salary, or historically have been, without the kind of benefits that the prosecutor can offer or private law firms, probably makes it hard to compete.
There's no question that our historically low salaries without a really attractive benefit package at all has definitely hindered the ability to attract and retain qualified candidates.
So what's your turnover like?
Our turnover is much better now than it was. We've recently lost, occasionally there's a little bit of bouncing back between the prosecutor's office and the public defender's office. I'll tell you, the legal profession right now is a lot of movement in prosecutor's offices. I know that John can tell you the woes that they have as well with the same issue. But we have really started to build a nice culture there. We've had a couple attorneys recently offered positions with more money, and they chose to stay because they like the support and the professional development that we're offering now.
And one of the things that I appreciated that you explained to me about what you've been doing with the office is that you are sometimes taking people fresh out of law school and being a bit of a training ground for them, and then because we still have our private bar, they can enter the private bar with more support and training than if they went straight to hanging out their own shingle. So in some cases, I think turnover at the public defender's office is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I think our prosecutor's office has traditionally trained some of the best public defense attorneys in Summit County. Mr. Riley got his start there at the prosecutor's office. But in most counties across the state, it's both the public defenders and the prosecutor's office that really are giving the private bar that early trial experience. And I think that we're going to start to see that more out of our office than we did before. So I don't actually ever mind turnover that much because most of these attorneys are staying in our community and continuing to represent our community members. And so to me, that is a bonus.
So my question, I guess that, I just asked the question because we're talking about retention and we're talking a bit about recruit. So what's the average period of time an attorney says stays with the public defender's office?
I don't have that number right now just because I'm not going to lie, the data pre-21 at our office is not stellar, but we have not had too many. We've had 3 or 4 attorneys leave since I started, so I don't think the number is particularly high. And it's certainly nothing inconsistent with what we're seeing with public defender's office and prosecutors' offices across the state right now.
So your average attorney in your office currently has how many years? About 3 years?
I don't know what I say our average. We have some attorneys who've been practicing for 20, 30 years, and then we have really built a robust intern program. So we do have probably half of our attorneys are within the first 5 years of their practice, many of them from our intern program.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from members of council?
I'll move.
You want to move, Ms. Darrow? Okay.
I think that's
Motion by Councilwoman Darrow on 2023-343. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
And I will call Public Safety Committee to close the file.
I'm going to open Health and Human Service Committee at 5:01. 2023-344, a resolution authorizing the executive or designee to execute or initiate for a two-year period from 1/1/24 through 12/31/25 through the State of Ohio's County Financial Information System and any other documents necessary, the acceptance by the Executive's Department of Job and Family Service of inter-county transfers of surplus funds from the Ohio counties to release surplus county of summit funds of the other counties in exchange for those accepted funds, provided that the collective funds released in a given calendar year do not exceed collective funds accepted in the calendar year for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services, and declare an emergency. Welcome.
Good evening, Tom Jalbert, Job and Family Services.
So,
That was a lot, so I'll be short. This is a resolution we bring forth every 2 years. This basically allows us to trade with other counties, our state and federal funds, as long as at the end of the calendar year we are in the positive. It allows us to, small amounts here, accept money whenever we need to, but as long as we're in the positive, we're good. In 2022, we ended the year $117,000 to the positive, and so far this year we're about $30,000. So, something we do every 2 years.
okay. Any questions from committee? Jeff? Jeff?
Yeah, Phil, this is what you've been doing for several years, not just with DJS, but with a lot of things coming in and out of that department that have allowed us to do more things that we didn't initially look at the beginning of each budget year, correct? This is the same process?
Absolutely. So Terry literally wrote a book about this, about how we move money between the counties. And but to add to what Tom said, it's not looking at those positive numbers at the end of the year aren't really the impact that this resolution has. By trading those dollars, we're able to take state and federal dollars that we can't use or aren't going to be able to use by the end of the year and trade it for dollars that we can. And I think in the last 5 or 6 years, we've given $12-13 million to Children's Services by doing this. So we're keeping dollars we can't normally use in the county. So we either use them to fund some additional programs within JFS, or we collect some and give it to CSB to help with their cash flow issues.
And Phil, does that obviously helps us with those dollars coming our way, because we don't have a situation where we didn't use them, so we lose them.
Right.
We do, if we don't, it is use them or lose them at the end of the federal or state fiscal year.
Okay.
So it is trying to move some of those into ones we can use.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, oh yes.
It sounds like a good thing. Is there risk at all in doing this?
No, this is to our benefit. This is to be able to get funds, like Phil was saying, that we can better utilize. So there's a lot of funds that we get that we aren't able to spend, but other counties around the state do need them. So this is only for our benefit.
And a lot of it is about when we first started doing this resolution, we had to bring a resolution every single time we wanted to transfer $15,000 or $150,000 to swap money with other counties across the state. So it was something that we pitched to council several years ago, and it's worked out well for us. It gives Tom and Terry the flexibility to just load this resolution into the state financial system and make those transfers.
Does it allow the administration to bypass council on some of these measures then?
No, it's council giving the authorization to trade the money. So it's a technicality of the state system and state requirement that there's a resolution. And the state monitors it too, because council initially passed a blanket one and the state rejected it and said there needs to be an expiration. So that's why we bring it in every 2 years.
Very good, thanks.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you too, about the monitoring of it, because and like whatever departments are allowed to actually transfer to, like there should be only certain departments on it.
It's all approved by the state.
Yeah, okay. Any further comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Mr. DeVitas moves on 2023-344. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 2023-345, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute intergovernmental temporary assistance to needy families agreement with the Summit County Combined General Health District, DBA, Summit County Public Health, to provide community baby shower services from 1/1/24 through 9/30/24 in the amount not to exceed $60,000 for the Executive Department Job and Family Services, and declare an emergency.
This is a renewal of our agreement with Public Health for community baby showers. These are events where we distribute essential baby supplies and information to pregnant women and families with small children under the age of 1 and targeted families that live in high infant mortality zones. So this is a continuation of a successful program that we've had for the last couple of years.
Oh, that's really nice. So you give it out at events, you said?
They have at least one big event. They used to do smaller events. And this last year, we started to do one large community baby shower.
Okay.
And I think they held a second one as well.
All right, that's very nice. Any comments from the committee?
Yes, I have a question. Where was the baby shower held?
That's
Do you feel like people from different parts of the county can get to it if they need it?
I don't know the answer to that question, Terry. Yeah,
Jeff?
Madam Chair and members of the council, this is a very important program for folks in need, because a lot of the folks that we serve don't have the resources to get the items that come through this is not a frivolous thing. This is a need based program, and it goes to the health, welfare, and safety of the young people that are benefited by this. So this is really an excellent program. Thank you guys for continuing that.
It's a partnership with Full Term for Birthday, and they're well attended.
Could families contact you to see about supplies?
absolutely.
Okay.
Rita, I'll move.
I have any further comments? I have a motion by Ms. Walters on 2023-345. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 2023-346, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of Change Order Number 1 to a temporary assistance to needy families, TANF, agreement with the Akron-Canton Regional Food Bank for food purchases and distribution services from 10/1/23 through 9/30/24 in the amount not to exceed $110,000 for the cumulative increase of 31.43% for the total amount not to exceed $460,000 for the Executive Department of Job and Family Services, and declare an emergency.
So if you remember a few months ago, we brought the start of this agreement for the federal fiscal year 24. We found out pretty quickly, because of the impending government shutdowns, that we were going to need more money for this. This is specifically targeting those on WIC and those that are needing infant formula, which is not normally part of our our target. But because of the shutdowns and uncertainty, this was very important.
Any questions from committee, council?
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Ms. Walters moves on 2023-346. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 2023-347, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control professional service contract with Adult Guardianship Services for Summit County for the operation of the Volunteer Guardian Program for a one-year term from 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 in the amount not to exceed $100,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services and declare an emergency.
This is another renewal. This agreement used to be with Summit County Public Health, but has since spun off to Adult Guardianship Services. This is a collaborative effort between Adult Guardianship Services, Summit County Court of Common Pleas, Probate Division, the ADM Board, and the DD Board and JFS. This is the program that trains, recruits, and screens guardians to serve as advocates and surrogates, decision makers for indigent wards of the court. This is an agreement for $50,000 up to $100,000 if funds are available.
Any questions from the committee? From council? I have a motion from Ms. McKinney, and, I got to turn my page back. On 2023-347, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to close the Health and Human Service Committee order at 5:11. Close.
We're going to open up finance. We have 7 items. First item is 2023-348, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of an amendment to the project management agreement with Sakish Human Capital Management and Payroll Consulting as best practical source for project management services in the installation of the Tyler Munis ERP product for 38 months for the period of 11/1/21 to 12/31/24, amending the prior amount to the total amount not to exceed $328,600 for Office of Information Technology and declaring it an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, I'm actually going to take this one. Phil Montgomery from the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget. This is an extension of a contract with Sikich. They have been on board for the last 22 months with the Munis ERP system implementation. We, as council is aware, finished finance went live at the beginning of this year. Our HR department is getting ready to launch payroll and human capital management, so that's slated to go live on December 18th. And council has also previously approved the purchase of an additional module, Enterprise Asset Management, which is going to help the Department of Sanitary Sewer Services and the engineer's office, as well as some other groups, in terms of bringing all of those final pieces back into our one ERP system. And so since we added that module, we need to request to extend Sikich's contract. They are doing our implementation project management, so there are day-to-day boots on the ground in the room, making sure that we're making the right decisions in the implementation team, representing us as an owner's rep as they work through with the implementation team. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Committee questions? Council questions? Can I have a motion?
Veronica.
Wait,
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Dunford.
Veronica.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So
We
just
do need
for-
to change this. We need to move it like,
I can
I
see you
can't see
speak.
from here.
So
I
just,
can't-
just for a point of clarification, the addition is just for the new module. We already have Sikich already on board, right?
So Sikich is on board for the first 3 modules. This is extending their contract for a new 4th module.
The 4th module.
Correct.
That's what just covered.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions? Can I have a motion? Mr. Wilhite moves on 2023-348. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2023-349, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Lake Tech Communications, Inc. as best practical source for Palo Alto firewall support for the period of 1/10/24 to 1/10/25 in an amount not to exceed $81,000 $24.84 for the Office of Information Technology and declaring it an emergency.
Stephen Byrne, Office of Information Technology. So this is our essentially licensing and support contract for our firewalls. These are our devices that sit out, protect anything from the outside network getting in, and this gets us all the security updates and, again, the licensing that goes with that product.
Questions, committee?
I'll move.
Council? None? Okay, then Ms. Walters moves on 2023-349. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
Next item is 2023-350, an ordinance amending Chapter 177 of the codified ordinances of the County of Summit entitled Board of Control Contract Procedures to make certain updates and revisions to the purchasing process of the county, increasing thresholds as allowed by the passage of the Ohio House Bill 33 for the Executive Department of Finance and Budget and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Phil Montgomery from the Executive Department of Finance and Budget. This is the ordinance amending Chapter 177. This is the one that we came and spoke to council at their retreat about. Essentially, this, under the passage of Ohio House Bill 33, allowed the threshold requiring bids to be increased from $50,000 to $75,000. So we would like to follow suit with that, while at the same time, in our discussions of where we are with inflation and the ability to get supplies and materials, increasing the threshold as to the contracts that go to Border Control as well. So the amendment, I know a revised exhibit came out this morning. Essentially, the highlight changes is we've collapsed change orders into its own section. It used to be repeated in a couple different sections. And then we changed the threshold for, again, the requirement for bids and what would go to Border Control. And we did also increase the hospitality line item from $2,000 to $5,000. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Committee questions? Council questions? Can I have a motion? Ms. Hyam moves on 2023-350. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2023-351, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with the Huntington National Bank for procurement card services for the volume rebate percentage of 1.5% for the net annual charge volume of $20 million to $29,999,000 or $299,999 for the Executive Department of Finance and Budget and declaring it an emergency. Wow, what a number. Okay. Go ahead, Phil.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to look and see at the header language here. We might have to submit an amendment, but I'll go ahead and talk about it.
Sure.
So I put a couple of handouts out with council. So our county procurement card program was implemented in 2007 here at the county, and that is the last time we shopped for our rebate rates. So we put an RFP out earlier this year. There were 4 banks that responded. Our current bank, U.S. Bank, was not one of them. So we look at what was presented by Huntington, and this is part of the reason why we put it back out for RFP is because they have created a consortium with the County Commissioners Association of Ohio, and essentially the way it works is any participating county joins the consortium, and then they combine our annual spend on our P cards, purchasing cards, and that's the rebate rate we get. So the second handout is the range of rebates. The wording that's in the header is the range that we believe we'll fall in as soon as we join the program, but this is the actual range on the second handout. And so you can see the lowest of the rebate rates is 1.1%, and it can go as high as 1.8. I think currently right now we're at 0.59. So even at a minimum, we're going to double our rebate. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Committee? Questions? Council? Okay. Mr. Wilhite moves on 2023-351. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is 2023-352. A resolution approving and adopting the 2024 operating budget for the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board of the County of Summit and appropriating funds totaling $54,117,124 as set forth in Exhibit A for for the Executive Department of Finance and Budget and declaring an emergency.
We'd ask the committee to take time. Second
Okay.
reading, sorry.
I need a motion for second reading. Okay, Mr. White moves on 2023-352. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. 2023-353, a resolution approving and adopting the 2024 operating budget for the Executive Department of Jobs and Family Services and appropriating funds totaling $54,218,300 is set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive Department of Finance and Budget and declaring an emergency. And I'm going to move to have that go to second reading. Can I have a motion? Okay, Ms. Hyam moves on 2023-353. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, Mr. Wilhite abstains. Motion carries. 2023-354, resolution approving and adopting the 2024 operating budget for all funds, departments, and agencies of the County of Summit, and appropriating funds totaling $565,733,269 as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive Department of Finance and Budget and declaring an emergency.
So moved. For second reading, sorry.
Who's that?
Second reading.
Okay, Ms. Walters moves on 2023-354. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we will close out finance at 5:21.
That was a motion for second reading.
That was, didn't I say second reading?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, and we will go ahead and open up budget hearings. And first up is the Department of Job and Family Services, and that's Tom Gelbert and Terry Burns. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Terry Burns with the County Executive's Office, Department of Job and Family Services. Tom Jalbert and I will be presenting the 2024 budget for JFS. I'll start with just a few high-level statistics for you. Our SNAP clients over the last year have remained pretty steady at around 41,500 cases. And we have a SNAP timeliness benchmark that the state puts before us of 95%, and we have met that every month this year so far for calendar year 23. Our Medicaid cases have dropped by about 3.5% to just over 90, or just under 90,000 cases. Of course, we started unwinding, and our case count started to decrease in May. And the other thing with unwinding is the state put a benchmark out there that we have to complete 90% of our cases every month since unwinding began, and we have met that requirement so far April through October. Also, for NET, we have provided over 93,000 trips for Medicaid net transportation to non-emergency medical appointments in federal fiscal year 23. We've done outreach, which I'm sure you've seen some of the press releases, where we go on-site and do eligibility for SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid. Some of the places where we go include AMHA, Community Health Center, Community Support Services. There's an Emergency Assistance Center in Twinsburg that we go to. We've hit many of the libraries that are part of the Akron Summit County Public Library System, as well as Barberton, Cuyahoga Falls, Stillman Falls, and Twinsburg. And lastly, for Adult Protective Services, we've received nearly 2,000 hotline calls annually. That's an average of 165 calls per month, and about half of those calls are screened in or investigated. Half of the cases are due to self-neglect, about a quarter of them for exploitation, and the remaining cases are due to neglect and abuse. And Tom will talk numbers with you.
Those were numbers. Dollars. I'll talk dollars. Just some high-level stuff of contract expenditures over the last 12 months. We've spent about $15 million with subrecipients. $550,000 in Title 20 Adult Protective Services, about almost $3 million in Title 20 TANF, which is our Children's Services Agreement. This is our juvenile court and United Way 211, and about $4.4 million in net transportation. All those trips that Terry was just talking about total about $4.4 million of Medicaid pass-through money entirely from the state. About $7 million in contract expenses of TANF, which includes $2.3 in CCMEP, which is our youth funding. 4.6 in regular TANF, which is of that 1.6 is for homeless prevention with our homeless prevention and rent assistance contracts. 2.1 million in Benefit Bridge, which is the new program we started last year, if you're familiar with it, and about 350,000 in summer youth work experience this past year. Touching on Benefit Bridge real quick, this is a program that's been very successful around the state. It's a pilot. We're still in the pilot stage, but we're really seeing benefits of participants receiving financial literacy, job coaching, peer mentoring, that sort of thing. But since the program's inception, we've enrolled 320 individuals, 74 successfully completed. And since joining the state's Benefit Bridge pilot in the middle of 2022, 54 of them have received wage increases, promotions, monetary incentives. 33 of those have increased their credit score, and 14 have increased secured transportation. So a very, very successful program.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question on that? So on the Benefits Bridge, with the increase in household income, how is housing held constant for those folks who are living, say, in public housing?
Not sure I can answer that. I'll have to get back to you.
Is there anything that... So part of the challenge always when income goes up,
right,
you know, it impacts housing. And so is there, as a part of the bridge work, anything to hold to that constant?
Yeah, so some of these funds are used for housing as well. So for rental assistance, if you do, you decrease in your benefits in other ways, some of these funds can be used for rental assistance, security deposits, that sorts of thing. Is that what you're asking?
Not quite. But
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not okay. So I guess the question I'm asking is, as we work on helping to increase income levels in households, how part of the cliff is that as incomes increase, people fall off because housing goes up, the other costs go up. So the question is, how are we working as a part of the benefit cliff to hold housing costs in check? So if I live in if I lived in, say, Summit Lake,
okay,
are we working with AMHA for families who are going through the benefits clips program, happen to get increase in their household income? How does that not affect their housing? And how are we working with AMHA, say, for instance, to make sure that it doesn't impact their rent or cause them to be less eligible because they got an increase in their household income?
Probably gonna have to get you an answer on that. I don't know if I can get you that tonight.
I'm sure we're working with them, Veronica, but we don't have any specific examples.
Okay.
Because they go through financial literacy, education, and it's all, they look at their big picture and how to keep them on track to self-sufficiency.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
I guess as it relates to rentals, and let's say someone that owns a home, has a mortgage, and just becomes financially strapped, is there assistance due with, on the monthly payments,
So most of our assistance is rental assistance.
Rental, okay.
Yeah. There's
I know we did mortgage over during COVID.
during COVID, we definitely did. I think we've reined it back into rental because, well, part of the problem is we have reduced funds now, so we have to prioritize. But you're right. That's a.
Is there somewhere those people could go? I mean, I've talked to people in the past and asked me, look, I have a house, and can I get any help with some assistance? And I really didn't have an answer to that. I sent them to some places for conversation.
So we are working in conjunction with Direction Home and the Healthy Aging Grant. So obviously a targeted population, older residents. Part of that will be assistance with household expenses. If you need a new roof, if you need a furnace, if you is that with some of those funds, we'll be able to help offset the cost of staying in your home if that's where you want to age in place.
I know Summit County's good about, helping people like that. Do other counties do the same thing similar to that, Or they just independently make their own decision?
I find that, in my experience, Summit County does it best. We have leveraged the federal dollars that have been given to us through some of the programs over the last few years and working with our nonprofits and the philanthropic agencies, United Way, even the Chamber, and now with Direction Home and targeting certain populations. So those calls continue to come in. I just had 2 calls today, folks looking for rental assistance. It continues to be a challenge.
And I concur. I have the same issue as people come into me that are homeowners that are, struggling to stay in their homes. So.
Well, and remind them certainly that some of the services that are offered by our community development department, weatherization, the HWAP program, those are programs that we can do countywide. And Holly, you all know Holly, she'll come and talk to any of your residents if there are certain ways in which we can offset the cost of staying in your home.
Right.
I mean, a new furnace, HVAC system can be absolutely debilitating. So if there are situations in which we can help residents in those ways, it might not be direct mortgage assistance or something like that, but if there are other ways we can do that, we can give you more information. We actually met today to talk about how to create some easily, distributed palm cards that have QR codes that will take folks directly to the website for the executive to show them the programming that we have to offer.
Okay.
Of course, some of that may be age-friendly, challenging.
Absolutely, but some of it is not.
Yeah.
Certainly, some of the programs that are offered through community development are open to all residents who would otherwise qualify based on them. And, since Tom is up here and we're talking about the JFS budget, it's important to remind you all, to help remind our residents that seniors always qualify for SNAP benefits. There's not an income requirement, and so as we look at the rising costs of everything else as compared to the mortgage payment, which is hopefully fixed, then encourage folks to look at those options as well.
What's the age limit on seniors?
It's 60. How? 60. Listen, I thought you said I did.
I just wondered.
Yes. All folks who are 60 and over you qualify for SNAP, and there's certainly still a stigma attached to it, but we continue to try and work against that. Now, it might be the minimal amount, but certainly it does.
We forgot to bring applications on that.
Okay, hearing no more questions, thank you very much, both for coming. Okay, next I believe is Department of Sanitary Services, Mike Benet. Thanks for coming, guys.
There's no change in that budget,
Good evening. I want to introduce Dominic Sharapa. He's a finance administrator with the Department of Sanitary Sewer Services. He's going to be giving the presentation tonight, and I will be here offering support and happy to answer any questions should there be some. So thank you.
Hello, good evening. Dominic Sharapa with Department of Sanitary Services for Executive Shapiro. So our total budget for 2024 is $6 million, and our 3 large expenses are government disposal, personnel, and utilities. In 2023, we completed numerous capital improvement projects, and we opened our doors for the Operation Management Center. Pump station number 42 was replaced along with the force main in Twinsburg. Pump station 81 also had their force main replaced, and an EPA inspection of the Upper Tuscarawas Water Reclamation Facility. In 2024, we have numerous capital improvement projects planned. Pump Station 6 and 36 in the City of Hudson, Pump Station 19 in the City of Stowe, Pump Station 30 in the City of Greene, the Fish Creek Water Reclamation Facility. In the City of Twinsburg, we're going to capital improvement manhole rehabilitation, the Village of Mogador sanitary sewer line rehabilitation, and then in Copley Township, the Copley Road sanitary sewer extension. Thank you. Any questions?
If I may just jump in real quick, just to offer just a little bit more information. One is on that EPA inspection of our Plan 36 in Springfield Township. That was an inspection that's necessary for our permit renewal for that facility. There were no findings on that inspection, so it was very successful. We completed that inspection approximately 3 months ago, and we just received the findings a couple of weeks ago. And obviously with the annual budget, I do want to point out a couple of things as far as our biggest drivers. Government disposal obviously continues to be approximately half of our budget. Obviously, utilities continue to increase as well. Some personnel increases in expenditures due to contractual raises with our employees. And then finally, there is an increase in transfers out, and that's going to be reflected in debt service for some of the capital improvements we have planned for this year. So I just wanted to add that clarification.
Just a quick question. So on the adjusted budget for 2024, it looks like there's a difference of almost $8 million for the proposed budget for 2024 versus 2023. So it's 68,231, and then we have the projected budget for 2024 at 64,17. What's different?
Yeah, so the increase there was, again, if you look at the transfers out, there's a huge increase in debt service we have this year. I wouldn't say huge, but it's a couple of $1 million. Now, we don't expect that total debt service to hit this year, but I have it in there as a cushion just in case. And then there is additional funding in government disposal as well this year.
Okay, but not in 2024.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Engineer, Heidi Swindle.
I'm not going to make Aquila actually give the presentation, but I did want to introduce her. Aquila Hollinger, we got her from Kent State. She was administrator over there. She's our new budget management director. She's been on board for a couple months, so she's here learning the ropes on how to talk to you all, because it'll be her job next year. No, they're very nice. Okay, so for our operating budget, nothing too earth-shattering. As Chip mentioned earlier, we did reduce our staffing report by 5 positions, but those were student helpers. We weren't getting anyone. It's like $12 an hour. Students can make more than that at any fast food restaurant. So what our new thought is to reduce the number of student helpers and add some to our laborer category, and then we could have a seasonal laborer. So we're planning to hire fewer of them, but at a higher pay. So that's kind of how that's going to work out. Other than that, we are adding in 2 inspector positions because we have all the surface water projects. They are going to be working for the engineer's office through the motor vehicle gas tax and then reimbursed to those stormwater projects, however. So it won't entirely be on the motor vehicle and gas tax to pay for those. So I've got 3 sections in 2250. We've got the administration section, we've got the engineering section, and the maintenance section, our public services. For admin, as you all know, Steve retired. We brought on Aquila, and then we have half an employee coming down from our service department to handle some of the communications duties. So we are down a little bit in our salaries there, and that's pretty much the only change in admin. Public services is the bulk of our operations spending. We buy the salt out of there. We have the most employees. They do the plowing. They fill the potholes. The good news is, now it won't last. It's a 1-year only thing. But we greatly reduced our salt amount that we're purchasing this year. A couple years ago, we made more salt storage. We filled it up
with a great price from the ODOT contract, and right now we are overflowing with salt. We have finally got to the point where like we don't have to buy as much salt next year, and so next year is the year for us. It's down about $300,000, so that's where the big reduction in that comes from. And then the engineering this one is up because on our staffing report, they're budgeted. I don't think we're going to fill them, but we're going to try. We need a surveyor with a surveyor's license. We've been having a heck of a time finding design engineer 1, which is an entry-level design engineer. Heck of a time finding that. And then, of course, the inspectors that I talked about earlier. So they're in the budget. Some of them will be reimbursed. Some of them, I mean, knock on wood that we're going to fill them, but I'm not sure if we're actually going to spend that money. So overall, for the engineer's office, if you look at the proposed budget from 2023 and the proposed budget for 2024, we're 0.6% over last year's budget. I do like this Munis report, though, because it looks like we are 5% less than last year. So if you want to use those numbers, that's great.
Those numbers, just as a reminder, include carryover POs from 22 into 23.
I know. I know. That's why. Okay, 0.6% over last year's budget. It is.
Any questions? Now, just a welcome to Aquila.
Thank you. I do have 2 other funds we've got assessed subdivisions. So we have a District 1 and a District 2. People in those subdivisions pay a fee for the stormwater facilities. Nothing has changed on that. We just kind of appropriate the full amount, and we use it to do all of the upkeep, maintenance, inspection of like ponds in assessed subdivisions. And finally, the Community Rotary Fund, which also no change, entirely funded by developers. They put down a deposit into that fund, and we draw down that deposit doing inspections and review for like subdivisions. All right, that's everything. Thank you.
Last up, County Council, Mr. Potter.
Mark Potter, County Council. Get comfortable. This should only take about 45 minutes or so. Within the targeted recommended budget by Finance and Budget, there's always increases to benefits. Every other line has been flat for over a decade, really. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No increase for the finance chair
We'll talk tomorrow, John.
That's under rental and leasing.
Any questions? Okay, thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I did want to say to Director Burns, I appreciate the community outreach, especially to have meeting people in the community where they are. The libraries, it's a game changer. So I meant to say thank you for that. So thank you. Okay.